in. Hi everyone, we're just about to get started. I'm just going to give another minute for some more people to enter in. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. My name is Kaitlyn. Welcome to the pre-PA students welcome pre-PA students and PA school representatives to our Anatomy of an Applicant session. In this session, we'll be hearing from school representatives about their programs and advice that they may have in terms of the application process. And first, I'd like to start off by introducing our representative panel. We have Amy Riddell. She will be representing Bethel University, located in Arden Hills, Minnesota. We have PA Allan Platt. Allan Platt is a physician assistant and is part of the faculty at Emory University School of Medicine and Director of Admissions. Angela Sivia will be representing Harding University's Physician Assistant Program. Jeanne Szarzynski. Jeanne Szarzynski is a physician assistant working in family health and representing Bethel University. LeAnne Snow. LeAnne Snow is representing Missouri State University Department of Physician Assistant Studies. Angie King. Angie King is representing the PA program at St. Ambrose University. Dion Mosley. He will be serving as the representative for Mercer University College of Health Professions. And lastly, Nate Adamson, who is a physician assistant representing Rocky Mountain University of Health Professions. Thank you guys for all coming here. To start, oh, we also have, I think he's just joining in. 1 second. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? I was just giving a brief introduction. Robert Heller will be representing Wayne State University's Physician Assistant Program as well. Thank you guys for all coming today, students and PA representatives. To start us off, I have a couple general questions for the panel, and then students feel free to enter in the chat in the QA box any questions that you have, and I will make sure that those get answered. So to start us off, with PA school becoming increasingly competitive and hundreds of applications being sent in every year, how do you decide who you call in for an interview? And is there something that you specifically look for your school? Sorry, anyone can pop in an answer.
Okay, so I'll just start. So we have a set process where we look at GPA, we read personal statements, we have a set of our own questions. And, you know, most of our students who apply their GPA is amazing. You know, I wouldn't get into PA school today if I'd had to have a GPA like that. And so at Bethel, we want our graduates to demonstrate competence, confidence, and compassion. And it's my job to see that they're trained to be competent. It's also by building their competency that we help them build confidence. But they're either compassionate or they're not. I can't teach that. We can model it, but we can't teach that. So when we are reading through all these multiple applications, we are looking for evidence of people who desire to care for others. I don't want to see an application where the person's gone out and checked off all the boxes. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, so my application looks good. I want to see that application that says, I did this because I care. I did this because I want to help others. I did this because there was a need and I could meet it. Those are the people that we look for at Bethel University.
Would anyone like to add on to that?
Yeah, I think at Emory, one of our missions is mission to underserved populations. So we like to see community service where you have actually done that, where you actually volunteer and gone out of your comfort zone. We really like clinical experience. We have one of the highest, I think, in the PA schools is 2,000 hours, because we want you to get experience talking to patients, talking to other healthcare providers to make sure this is the right path for you. So those things we value very highly. What did you do in healthcare, and then what did you do in community service? The other things are pretty standard. The GPA, the scores on tests. But narratives are highly important to us, so please do those very carefully. Tell your journey. Why are you taking this path? Don't read the internet templates, please. So just talk about you and make it come from the heart, because we read those and they really do make a big difference for us. I think most PA programs have a supplemental, and that's when you say, why am I picking you as a school? Well, if you didn't do your homework and you read a website, I don't pay much attention to those. What I want to know is, did you come to an open house? Did you talk to us? Did you reach out to us? Did you do your homework? And that speaks very loudly to us that you're picking us as much as we're picking you.
Definitely.
Thank you guys for that. Going on to the next question. Do you have any tips in terms of writing a personal statement? What would you say makes a personal statement stand out from the hundreds of others that you're reading a year?
I think, like Allan said, we want to know how did you get on this path on, becoming a PA, and what motivates you, and do you care about people? Is this why you want to do it, or is it just looks fun? We really want to know why you are on this path, because it's a huge commitment that you're starting, and we want to know that you're really passionate about it. And yeah, do not Google. One year I had an essay, and it was talking about this guy had a big scar and a little story, and then he's like, oh no, actually it was my appendix. And I was like, oh, this is funny. It caught my attention. And seriously, the next week I read the same exact start to an essay. So they definitely Googled it. So do not do that. Write from your heart.
I'd like to, go ahead.
No,
I also want to encourage you. I know that the question is, why do I want to be a PA? But please don't tell me what a PA is because you copied it out of a book. I know what a PA is. I think I got it. I don't think I need to have anybody recite that. I'm a PA who blah, 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 whatever. So yeah, tell me your story. tell me who you are. Tell me why this appeals to you. But don't educate me about what a PA is, please.
If I could just add to that from Missouri State's perspective, we really try to consider our applicants holistically. So of course, academics are important, but you can show, if you can show insight and maturity, particularly in your personal statement, that's what we're looking for. So just that you have an understanding of what it's going to take to go through a rigorous professional program like physician assistant, and that you understand what a physician assistant does, not necessarily in the definition, but you can see yourself in that career by the unique experiences you've had. So we consider those holistic qualities in your application when you initially submit through CASPA and the life experiences that you've done, and then to see that in your personal statement, that you're communicating those extra things to us that we can't get in your application, that shows us how you've been preparing and why you're a good fit this whole time through your undergrad or in the course of after your initial undergrad degree.
Okay, what would you say is the greatest strength of your program's curriculum? Or just of any curriculum in general?
I think at Emory, it's the academic medical center we're a part of. We're leading the fight of COVID right now. The Moderna vaccine came out of Atlanta and Emory, the researchers. Remdesivir, the first FDA approved drug for COVID, came out of Emory. The immunology teacher that teaches the PA students was the lead investigator. So those are the kind of people that bring the academics to the students. And these are the rotations they have all the way from the level 1 trauma center at Grady to community hospitals in rural Georgia. So we have that kind of experience for our students. And I think that makes it strong. They come out well-trained and ready to go.
At Wayne State in Detroit, I would say we have a diverse clinical rotation experience. We also have many community service programs for the students, like we have a Special Olympics program where our students participate. So I would say our outstanding factor is the clinical experience, the diversity of it.
Our faculty at Harding are continually assessing the curriculum and the student outcomes, and they make changes when needed. They don't make changes just to make changes, but they're constantly looking ahead to see from the student assessments and presentations and tests kind of what where the student learning is taking place and where it can be improved. And I think with COVID, I'm sure we've all been there, but being able to quickly adapt to virtual learning when needed, and being able to communicate that out well to the students.
I think at Bethel University, we have several things. First of all, it is a Christian university. You don't have to be a Christian to come here. Some are, some are not. We have people of all faiths in our class, which really creates a great opportunity to learn and grow. But I also think that one of the things that we bring is that our combined educational experience among our faculty exceeds 150 years. So all of us that teach are clinicians and have been clinicians in a variety of specialties, so that we can educate our students. They educate us as well. It becomes a give and take. So I think that, we have very strong academics and a good range of rotations for our students, including some international rotations now. For those students who are interested, those are elective, not mandatory.
So at Rocky Mountain University, something that I would say is unique, it's not necessarily part of the curriculum, but we have summer trips to Africa and Guatemala. The Africa trips are the biggest. We go to Malawi, and it's a 2-week trip. It's volunteer based, so if you want to come, you can. You don't have to. And for 1 week, you will do some humanitarian service. You'll actually help build a school. I believe a school is built every year. And then for the other half of the trip, you'll actually have the opportunity to serve in the hospitals and clinics there. And so you'll get different experiences than you would here in the United States. And some students say you'll see things that you may not ever see again or be able to participate in. Some students got to jump in on some surgeries that they will not be able to probably for a while here in the United States. And so really awesome trip. Students love it. And students who are able to go say it's one of the biggest things that stand out to them when they leave. It was an experience that they'll never forget. So yeah, that's a little unique part about our program, is that 2-week summer trip to Malawi, Africa.
Thank you guys. That was really cool to hear about your different programs and how you guys can go about things and make each one unique. We do have a question in the chat, and I saw that Heather from Wayne State already answered. But if any of you guys have anything to add on to it, feel free. The question is, are there certain patient care experience hours that stand out over others when looking at applicants?
Yeah, we grade everybody because a combat medic coming back from the war zone versus medical assistant, we give more points for the combat medic because of responsibility. We have ICU nurses applying to be PAs. We have, but we also have scribes, right out of college. And so we grade each hours and have a multiplier based on how much patient experience they have with it. And we have the gamut. So our whole classroom's very diverse with their backgrounds, and they all help each other get through it.
We don't necessarily have at Bethel any preferred opportunities. We do accept scribing, but we are looking for the direct patient care. Our hours might be some of the lower out there for the applications, and we're looking for 250 hours. And just again, I really appreciate the diversity of where our applicants are coming from. And we do have some military folks coming in as well, and the certified nurse assistant, all kinds of things, but it's not one experience weighs more heavily over the other for us anyways.
Similarly, at Mercer University, we do the same. We kind of look at a myriad of patient care experience hours. We like students to be diverse. We want you to try different things, and we welcome all different types of experience. Of course, if you were maybe a combat tech and things like that, we'll take a look at that a little bit closer. But we definitely want students to have a diverse background when it comes to PCE hours.
Would you guys say it is better to show exploration with patient care hours, like having some hours as a scribe, having some as a CNA, or just consistency within one direct patient care area?
I would say stay with one that you're really good at and build relationships, because those people will write your recommendations for you, and you need clinical people to write the recommendations. And if you're flitting from place to place to place, you can see that in the recommendations. They don't know you. So really, I would say one good one over 5 bad ones, or quickies as they are. And it just needs to get you behind the door in the hospitals where you can actually talk to PAs, nurses, and physicians and find out if they're happy and why do they pick their profession. So really, one good one is a good one. I wouldn't say you need to get a vast experience. You're going to get all that in PA school. And then you can pick and choose what you want to do for your job.
I would second that with Allan. I think students, you want to be mindful of who's writing your letter of recommendation. That is a big component of your application. I think most schools would agree with that. And so you want to make sure, even if you're going to have a myriad of experiences, you want to make sure they're real tangible experiences that you can speak to when you get into the interview. If we invite you to interview, things that you can talk about. And we want to make sure that you really understand you really can speak to what you did and, while you're obtaining those PCE hours. So that's very important. I agree with that, Allan.
I also agree with these gentlemen. I think I would much rather see someone take on a task, perhaps caring for an elderly neighbor or a child with special needs over a period of time than someone who's done 2 or 3 one-week mission trips somewhere. Because what that tells me is that this person sticks with what they start, for starters, and they are there for the long haul, which, as you all know, as PAs, it's a long haul, and to stick with it and to stay engaged in it is a great characteristic that we'd like to see in our applicants.
I do have another question to spin off of this. You guys are talking about getting to know people for your recommendation letters. This was touched in the last session with the graduate students. They were saying that they had non-PAs for the recommendation letters. And I just wanted to know how you guys looked at that. Like, do you frown upon it? Do you prefer a PA? Or if that relationship is there, you want that recommendation letter?
I would say for the Wayne State program, we look for references that have observed them working with patients. So it could be a doctor, it could be a nurse, it could be a supervisor, it could be a PA, but I always say it's stronger if it's a PA that you've actually worked with, as opposed to someone that you were shadowing that didn't really have a chance to watch you work with patients.
I would second that. I mean, make sure your reference knows you and knows your true work ethic and personality. Somebody you've shadowed, a PA you've shadowed for 4 hours, they don't really know you, you know. So I would say a college professor as well, especially if you've worked with them as a TA or research or something like that, as long as they truly know you and your work ethic.
I would avoid family friends. Sometimes I've seen letters of recommendation from a medical doctor, but in the letter they state that they have known them for 10, 15 years and I've seen them grow up. So it is a hard one because they are a medical professional, but they are also a family friend. So is that letter of recommendation true to that applicant's character, or is it just from the family friend aspect? So I would avoid those for us.
Avoid political ones too. Like you got a friend who knows the board member of such and such. They don't know you, but you get a letter from the board member. And those are, can I say, red flags to me.
Thank you guys for that. That's definitely helpful. Dion, did you want to go?
Yeah, I want to harp back. I want to harp back on how important this is, especially for Mercer. But I'm sure all PA schools are like this. For Mercer, sorry if you hear noise. My children are out there. You want to make sure the person that is writing your recommendation knows you, and they have seen you work, and they can speak to your abilities and maybe your future capabilities. And so that's very important. So students should take the time to make sure they get to know PAs, and even if it's, even if they tell you no at first, kind of keep plugging away at them until you can get in there and really get some hours and obtain PCE hours, because that's very important. That could be a make and break in terms of, even if you have a great GPA, your GRE scores are amazing, all that's great, but you have poor letters of recommendation, that could be what keeps you out from getting admitted into the program.
Thank you for that. I do have another question here. How would you guys perceive gap years, and what could an applicant do during this time in between undergraduate and graduate school that would best set them up for success when applying for PA school?
Love gap years. Take a year and get in a job, get paid, get behind the doors and meet people. It's amazing. Nobody's ever regretted a gap year that I've talked to. They all said, this helped me so much to get grounded. So the main thing is get a healthcare job and get hands-on. And the best jobs for, I would say, college graduates are going to be medical assisting, scribing. If you can get an EMT license, that opens doors. But you got to get a license in something, because you can't, you're going to go apply for a job and they go say, yeah, you graduated college, but what? You got to have a certificate. And the only other jobs that I've seen are PA incubators or dermatology practices. They love taking pre-PAs. They will train you on the job to be a MA, and then they'll write your recommendations because they know you're smart, you're wonderful, but they know they only got you for a year or two, and then you're going to go be a PA. And then they'll hire back as a PA. But anyway, in Atlanta, I know dermatology practices are very good for incubating PAs.
I want to add on to that. I love seeing when students take a gap year. Instead of rushing into it, trying to hurry their application to get into school, they really want to tune in and make their application look the best. That gap year is a really good time to get those volunteer hours. As you said, get some work, get some money, get that patient care experience, and just make your application look the best that it can. And also, I know right now, I've experienced speaking with a lot of students, with COVID right now, it can be hard in certain areas to get volunteer hours, to get that patient care experience. If it's going to mean just taking one gap year to make your application look great and take some time to maybe wait out, see if you can get more hours, that's going to help you out in the long run.
I just want to tag into that and say for Missouri State, we have a wide age range for our students. So we'll have the youngest one coming in as somebody who finished college a bit early. That's the superstar coming in at 21 who's balanced a crazy lot on their plate. But then the age range goes well into mid 40s a lot of years. So not only are you getting that maturity and that experience we've been talking about, but it also allows you to grab some leadership opportunities as well. And again, to just make those good connections that you can have for your letters of recommendation. Also, for those of you who are pursuing, degrees that you can utilize with certifications and have that higher level of patient care experience, it's a good time for you to do that as well, to be working in your field that you've been studying your entire undergrad. And that's going to make you even more competitive, at least for the Missouri State program, because you've learned more, you have more maturity and more experience, and that's going to show through in your initial application, and then if you're invited for an interview as well.
I like to encourage gap years, just partly because we're seeing such a plethora of 20-year-olds coming through PSEO, and then they finish high school at 16 or something, and they do a couple years of college, and they're graduating at barely 20 years of age. And I think that, spending a year or two in the messiness that is medicine, medicine is not always tidy. It doesn't always smell good. Taking care of people who are sick and excreting and struggling and dying is not easy. And I think having those experiences really gives you a sense of what you're going to get into here. I think, it's not, and I've worked in clinics, I've worked in operating rooms, and it's not always pleasant. And so one needs to be aware of that. The last thing you want to do, and this is a real issue for me, and at Bethel, we're very conscious of this, is that PA school is not inexpensive. I don't care where you go to school. Some schools cost more than others. But, if you're going to start PA school and get halfway through it and then decide this really isn't what you want, then you're stuck with this huge bill. And this is what your gap year will do for you. It's going to show you, is this what I want? Do I want to take care of people? Do I want to engage in medical care of people? who don't always smell good or look good or aren't very nice to you, or all those kinds of things. And you learn that. And I think that's really important, so that when you start PA school, you've seen the good and you've seen the challenging part of it, and you know what you're getting into.
Thank you all for that. We do have another question. What are some important qualities that you would look for in an applicant? Whether you see it in their interview or on their application. I know we already talked about patient care hours, but just overall in general.
Can they follow directions and instructions? Are they listening to what is being told, whether it's on the phone or email or on the website? On our website, we list a lot of information, and sometimes that doesn't get looked at. Or I'll send an email out with specific instructions and they don't get followed. So to me, that's a big key, is can they follow directions?
That's a big one with us too, following directions. You know, due to COVID, our mail went to our main campus rather than our building, and I had it in like 4 different spots. Please mail to this address, and I was amazed how many people didn't. So yeah, follow directions, and also just being a well-rounded individual. You know, when you're in, you know, especially coming out from undergrad, if I see that someone's been super involved in things and still were able to keep their grades up and things like that, it's going to help them in the long run with PA school, because they're used to balancing their time and prioritizing.
At Wayne State, we have monthly information meetings that we highly encourage applicants to attend, because it goes over the entire application process, our prerequisites, and it saves them from constantly emailing us questions. If they, one, yes, following directions, 2, actually reading the website and understanding the information on there. But the information meetings are really helpful.
At Rocky Mountain University, I think Allan mentioned it a little earlier, that I want to see that you've spoken to us before. You've reached out, you've checked out the website, you've spoken with an advisor. On our website, when you visit the website, a little chat bot comes up. You can sign up to speak with one of us. Like, please do. We remember your names. We remember who you are. It's not just something to get out of the way, but we really remember that you were putting best effort in to learn more about the university, get questions asked. And we also hold those information sessions. Those are huge. Again, we remember who comes, we remember who asks questions, who stays more involved. And that's what we're looking for, is a little involvement before the actual application process. It's not a make or break, but it's huge. It makes a difference.
I'll add, we also like to see when students, like, let's say you applied 1 year and you didn't get accepted. We do like to see when students apply again, what has changed on their application, whether it's patient care experience, or just what happened that year, during the year that you weren't in PA school. So we do like to see when students reapply. We look at those students very closely.
I think that growth of what you're talking about is really important, because did they take that year from the year that they applied and didn't get in until the next cycle? Did they improve their grades if grades were an issue? Did they get more healthcare and patient care experience? Did they get more PA shadowing experience? Or did they just keep everything the same and not really change? And that to us shows that they're not willing to grow and to learn. And so that is a huge one too for us.
Also be willing to try to find places to do mock interview type situations where you're getting in front of people that you don't necessarily feel comfortable, so that you can have a successful interview with our school and be able to, come up with the answers to questions that aren't memorized. I'm sure we all have very different questions, and to have a pat phrase that you're going to answer to a question that wasn't even asked of you isn't going to get you very far in the interview. So You know, it's a character building process to be able to get in front of people that make you nervous and help them, let them critique you and accept that constructive criticism.
I was just gonna say, if you reapply, rewrite your essay. Do not cut and paste the same essay. Put effort into your new application.
I was going to go off of what Amy was saying, but what are some common mistakes that you see applicants make in their interviews, and how can someone avoid doing that?
I would say probably not taking accountability. I think that's really like a big one when that's kind of a flag when they're asked about a particular situation and they have a hard time accepting accountability or just admitting, you know, that maybe that like a mistake was made, you know, wanting to know that there's someone that will, you know, be able to ask for help. It's like, it's such a competitive mode to get into PA school, but then once you're there, like everybody's in the same boat together and you're just there to help each other, and everyone's learning and everyone's human. So I would say just kind of, you know, when asked questions, just when it was, you know, something happened, you were able to take responsibility for that.
I think for us too, we've seen in our interviews, there are some students that after the interview, we think, do they even want to be a PA? Whether it was maybe a lack of confidence, maybe they really do want to become a PA, but there's no passion behind it. We don't receive clear answers. And so there's a big question mark that's left of, do they even know what a PA is? Why do they want to be a PA? And so for us, it's showing us why. Now you can cross that line and become a little too arrogant with it as well, but really what we're looking for is show us that passion. What makes you want to become a PA? And being able to clearly communicate that.
I think about some of the interviews I've had where I always ask at the end, is there anything you'd like to tell us that we haven't asked? So be careful with that question. But, you know, I think about the students who said to me, whether I get in here or someplace else, I am going to be a PA at some point. And my feeling is, well, great, you might as well come to Bethel then. But I like to see that determination. Like, this is what I want to do, and this is why I want to do it. I also have had applicants come in with the most awful body language. Like recently I had a gentleman that we interviewed, and his tie was pulled down, his shirt was open, and he had his foot up on his desk. Amazing. I'm like, really? This is how you interview. So again, professional behavior, you know, don't have to spend millions of dollars on clothes, but be neat, be tidy, be put together, sit up, but don't. I've had people that I've interviewed who've like got in my face and leaned across the table. And fortunately, we didn't have COVID then, or I've probably gotten it because they're just right there. So that's not necessary. That's not good body language. I've had people that interviewed that sit and stared at the ceiling instead of looking at your person that's interviewing you. So none of those behaviors are going to get you into PA school. I don't think. I mean, maybe all of you have a different opinion, but you know, professional adult interactions, trying to be funny doesn't work either. This isn't the place to be funny. This is the place to be serious and engaged and passionate about what you want to do.
I would say don't rush your application process. Like our application opens in May and it closes in September. And we have people who wait and apply like mid-August. It's like start the application process early, don't rush, because I have noticed with quite a few, I get the wrong personal statement. So excited to apply to the PA program at Mercer University. I'm like, well, that's nice. Good luck in Mercer University. You know, I'm like, so make sure you send the right documents to the right school that you're applying to. That would be really helpful. So take your time and don't rush through the process.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit. You'll get, I see students they'll send an email, hey, I sent the wrong letter of rec. I'm like, or I sent the wrong personal statement. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. We'll try it next time. Better luck next time. And I'll add just the last point, I guess. Just be present. I think Jeanne, excuse me if I said it wrong. She said it correct. Just be present at the interview. I mean, even if Mercer's not your top choice, like, just out of respect, just be present at the interview. It's not it's just a few hours. Be present, ask questions, be engaged. And then, once you leave, if, you don't want to take us off your list, that's fine. But while you're there, just be present.
Don't, oh, sorry, Nate. One quick thing, don't get so chatty that you forget to answer the questions, because that happens. And I've had our faculty come out and say, oh my God, I don't think they even answered one of my questions because they just got overly chatty. And sometimes your nerves gets you, sometimes, but answer the questions.
Yeah, when we get back to real interviews, when COVID goes away, when you leave the interview, don't go out and diss the staff or talk badly about things, or you went to another program and they were blah, blah, blah. The whole day is an interview. And we've had people go on tours with students and just be totally rude and look up, be on their phone. And the student's going to come back and say, this was a no-go, and the student has voting rights. So your whole day you're being observed, and you better be, be mature, be professional with everybody, be complimentary, and everything will come back. We even have our front desk staff has nixed people because they sat in their lounge and were dissing other programs, and we're just and that's no go. So the whole day people are watching you. So be aware.
I just wanted to add, in the interview, just be professional, but be yourself. You've obviously impressed the program enough to get an invitation into the interview. So again, professional, but be yourself, because we want to learn more about you during this process. I understand you're going to have nerves. You're going to be a little nervous. You might get a little chatty, but try to answer the questions, but be yourself. And that's what we're really looking for. Again, because you've got the grades, you had the hours you needed, everything else impressed us. Now we just want to get to know you as a person.
Thank you, guys. That is great interview feedback. I have one more question that I want to ask for our seniors that are applying to PA school, or juniors, I guess, at this time. With COVID, are there any changes made to required shadowing or volunteer hours, since they're mostly not available right now? And I know there's some virtual opportunities. Is that like equivalent to the in-person, or what are you guys accommodating for that?
We don't count shadowing. It's wonderful, but we want direct patient care hours. So really it's getting a job behind the door to get your badge so you can talk to everybody. We have not lowered that. We have plenty of people who are working during COVID, because COVID needs healthcare workers, and they're getting their hours. But shadowing's okay, but it's not what gives us the manpower, the hours to choose you.
We don't require shadowing either. Shadowing's for you. That's for you to, it looks good on your application that you've done some, but that's for you to figure out, do you really want to be a PA and understand the scope of practice of a PA? So if you can't get in, I think, phone interviews with PAs, why did you go this path? What exactly do you get to do every day? There are key questions you can ask to learn about the profession that would be almost as good as shadowing in person.
I do have another question. How long does it take to go through the applications for each cycle? And I know we were talking in the last session, there's like secondary applications and sometimes tertiary applications. Does your program have that?
We just have a supplemental that you turn in at the same time. 2,000 people picked Emory, but only 1,000 finished their application. So we go through 1,000 apps, and then we picked over 200 to interview out of that 1,000. Out of that was 50 chairs.
Yeah, we just have the supplemental application for the University Graduate School besides the CASPA application. That's all that we have. And we have around 800 applicants. So yeah, we just have the supplemental and then the CASPA.
We have a supplemental too, and it's pretty minimal. Very similar questions to the CASPA essay questions. And we don't want another essay. We just want the answer to your question, because sometimes those questions and answers get lost in the content of your essay, which is more of a narrative, which is fine. But on ours, we just want a brief answer to each question. So it's pretty minimal.
We do the same at Harding University as the others. We have a supplemental. We actually submit that out to the applicants. If they've passed the academic prerequisites, we'll then pass out the supplemental. But we do review the entire application. I'm not sure if applicants realize, but we do look at letters of recommendation, healthcare and patient care experiences, personal statement. I mean, we read everything. So if we have written back a no, it's not because we didn't look at it. It just wasn't a good fit for that time.
Or if you haven't heard from us in 1 week, just because you applied and you're like, I need the answer immediately. Again, you have a lot of applicants that apply, so we'd like to check over everything. And we try to be as responsive as we can. But it may be a month before you hear something. We at Mercer, we're on rolling a mission, and we don't immediately make decisions. So sometimes it's just best to be patient. Check your spam box as well.
I want to add to that and just say, we do not have a supplemental application at Missouri State. So everything that we utilize is on CASPA, and our additional questions are on CASPA. But we don't offer rolling admissions either. So it's really important to know which programs you're applying to that select for interviews as they go along early in the process and which ones do not. So we wait to the end of our deadline. So our deadline's in July 15th. And so you'll get some email communications along the way from us, but it may be a while before you hear. It'll be right after that deadline before you hear what the next steps are for interviews, or if we're unable to offer those this year.
Let me just clarify, for our supplemental application, all we require for the university is just your official transcripts. All the other documents are sent to CASPA, including transcripts as well, but the university requires transcripts to verify for admission. That's the only thing. Everything else goes to CASPA.
So at Bethel, we also have a supplemental. It goes out with the rest of the CASPA applications, part of the CASPA application. Amy, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think it is. I just, this seems like, it may seem like a silly point, but before you submit, read over what you have written. Make sure that your spelling and your grammar, that you're writing in complete sentences. I know, I see everybody nodding. This is a graduate program, and we're going to be dealing with sick people here. And I have seen people pay the fees, submit all of this material, and the writing is so bad that we can't get past it. So, you know, really walk away from it, fill it out, walk away from it, come back, read it, and read it out loud so that you can hear if you've made an error. That, you know, it's okay, Mom, but you'd be surprised how many times we just set an application aside because it has been so poorly constructed.
I think that goes, I don't know if it was Amy or someone else who mentioned about having a mentor for interviews, but I think going along with the application, it's really important to have a mentor that you can have look at your personal statement. They're not going to write it for you, but having someone that can review it. One of our alum was telling me that she had applied one year, didn't get into our school, applied the second year and got in. Well, in that year, she had someone in the medical field help her review her personal statement. And then she had someone else do mock interviews and case studies. And so to me, having someone to look over that, because sometimes you may read it 10 times and miss that little comma or miss that misspelling, but having, like Jeanne said, to read it out loud, but also have others look at it. And you won't complete it in a day. It's going to take you a long time to document all of your healthcare, patient care experience hours and volunteer and all of that. But I think having a mentor to help you along with the whole process, beginning at the application, ending at interviews, is really important.
I know this point's made. I really want to hit the nail on the head though. Know the programs you're applying for, know when their deadlines are, and know if they're rolling admissions or not. Because again, like LeAnne mentioned, their deadline was July, I believe. Ours is October. We're also not rolling admissions, but if we were rolling, that changes the game, that changes everything. And if you need to make an Excel sheet, a Google sheet, write it in a notebook, whatever you need to do, the universities you're applying for, what their dates are, if they're rolling or not, it really changes everything. And another tip, CASPA. I know that CASPA, since they're a third-party system, they can take a few weeks to verify your application. So also know, like, our deadline is October 1st, but that's when your CASPA application needs to be verified by. So I usually tell people September 1st, like, make that your personal like application deadline, but that's a good tip. That's a reason why you should reach out to each university and talk to someone, ask questions. Those are tips that you might not know that you can get answers for.
Thank you all for that helpful input. We are just coming up to the end of our session. So I'd like to just thank you all. Thank you, students, for participating, and PA school representatives that came today. I hope everyone was able to get some useful information out of our session and previous sessions. And a special thank you to our school representatives who took the time to provide us with beneficial feedback and advice for when we will be applying to PA school. That concludes the Iowa State Pre-Health Conference sessions for today, but we do have a closing session. I'll paste it in the chat for the students to go ahead and find on the website. But thank you all again, and I hope you all have an amazing day.